Learn in particular. The other thing that they do is they set up, I hesitate to use the word experiments, but they set up cases of innovative techniques, and they set criteria for how you would judge. And some of that, I mean, we actually have some stuff on, we've had some stuff recently that does. I mean, it does make statistical analysis of, student engagement with particular kinds of methodologies, but there might also be qualitative engagement with, setting up criteria for thinking through what would make the innovative technique a success, and also what you would learn from implementing that innovative technique, right?
Thank you very much, Martin. I would like to just bring in Case to say something about the review process, what happens if the judgment is revise and resubmit, and also picking up on Alistair's point, how to treat the comments of reviewers.
Maybe this one is less dangerous. After the review process, of course, the editorial team gets a number of referee comments, and on the basis of that, the decision is being made whether or not to accept, reject, or ask for revise and resubmit. A straightforward exception does happen, but not very often. Quite often the referees have a number of comments which are very useful, and they don't necessarily lead to major revisions, but sometimes they do. But even minor revisions would be put back to you as an author. Now, with political studies, partly as a consequence of the increased number of submissions, we are now using a policy of no more than one revise and resubmit. So, if after the reviews we decide that the article isn't yet up to scratch, you get an invitation to revise it and to resubmit it, but you will not thereafter get that invitation again if it's still not up to scratch. What you might still get is a thing like minor revisions. So in your revised version, referees have flagged up a number of really minor infelicities like typos and things like that, and we would ask you to correct those. But we will not ask for a next revision process again or again or again. So in that respect, political studies operates on a one R&R policy. Political studies review is in this respect more, if you want to call it way, friendly or more constructive, whatever way you want to call it, and is working with you to try to get it into shape, even if it would take a second revision. In that respect, it's a little bit less draconian, if you want to call it that way. But we thought with political studies we cannot afford to go on that route, because basically then at the end we would get to a copy bank that's on the one hand unsustainable, but on the other hand also it would prejudice people who have not done their academic work very well over those who have done so. So we aim to get to the authors as informative as possible comments from referees and from the editorial team. Then they have to revise it, and that will basically be then seen as a final submission, except for typos and things like that.
Thank you. Are there questions that you would like to put to any of the specific editors? Yes. Could you speak as loudly as possible, please?
Yes. So the first kind of specialized area studies, we have attended some kind of survey. Some of the specialized area studies we submitted to the Indian journals, such as South Asia, we submit some publication survey of South Asia. So it is encouraged to gather
Sorry, are you saying to specify what are the area studies?
No. There is a tendency among scholars to kind of submit it to the area studies.
Okay.
Journals. So I was just wondering, like, how many, like, each of you, particularly in KPR, critical studies politics, have got any say in articles in the last 5 years, which were published or rejected? Like, what do you do?
So if I've understood your question, because a lot of people would tend to submit their articles, say on India, to area studies journals, if such articles came to you, each of the journals, how likely would you be to say this is better submitted to a specialist area studies journal or not?
The simple answer is it depends. We do look at such pieces, and we have carried such pieces in the past, and we will carry such pieces in the future, but I think it's almost like Case said originally, you've got to be able to justify why this is a piece that's fitting for that particular journal. So yes, we will look at them, and we're quite happy to do so, but we'd expect you make a good case in the article itself for why this is something that needs to be brought to wider attention. So does that answer your question?
Maybe if I may add something to that, and I don't think it's in contradiction, but possibly just in other words. There are a lot of articles which have been accepted and published, which are, for instance, about a particular country, which might be a Western country, it might be a third world country, or whatever. But in all those cases, what we ask authors to do is to justify why that country, be it Uruguay, be it Cambodia, be it Denmark, or whatever, is an interesting case also for those people who do not study Uruguay, Cambodia, or Denmark. There must be something paradigmatic about those countries, where I say that is an exemplary case of a process or a phenomenon that can be seen wider, that has relevance also for people who study Britain, or Germany, or the United States, or China. So that's a way of what we ask authors to think about. If they don't want to think about it, they say, no, this is about Cambodia, and it's for Cambodia scholars. Then it is for an area studies journal. If they say, this is something about political processes, which is also relevant for people who study the UK, then we're very much interested.
Martin,
I mean, I would emphasise that. I mean, we're a politics journal and we speak to a politics audience. So the question is, how does the particular case that you're investigating relate to a problem that's been badly understood or badly posed in the politics literature? And I guess that's ultimately what divides area studies from politics as sub-disciplines or disciplines or whatever you want to call them, is that they're speaking to perhaps slightly different audience questions. But we've published lots of single country articles, you know, and we've got ones on Russia working their way through, but they address particular questions that will be of larger interest to political studies scholars, I think.
Yes, I think when it comes to political insight, it's similar as well. I guess I'm often interested in it. Again, it comes down to topicality as well. If something is, you know, something's been in the news. We recently published a piece on Thailand, looking back at the Red Shirt uprising and what that meant for Thai politics in the aftermath. That was a very big news story. So again, we would have been interested. I would have been interested in soliciting material from all around the world. We do have a very global reach. But I'd echo some of the comments. In terms of what political insight is interested in, it's slightly different. It's probably less to do with why this might be a paradigmatic example of a case, but it would have to make kind of claim to why this particular country is of interest, why this story, this piece of research, this political issue has relevance beyond just the borders of the particular country.
Thank you very much. Another question?
I'd be interested to hear a bit more about the difference in remit as the editors between politics and political studies. I understand that there's a difference in the kind of convention of the articles, length and so on.
Okay, the question was, looking at politics and political studies specifically, what is the difference in the remit of the articles to be submitted to those two journals? It's not just about the length, what is it?
Again, I don't think this is a watertight division, and there are undoubtedly submissions which would fit on either side of that distinction. I think what we aim less at in political studies are preliminary findings. So they have to have a little bit more established status rather than that they are preliminary. We allow larger submissions in terms of word count, and that also means to some extent that we ask implicitly with that a somewhat more elaborated theoretical, and if that's relevant, empirical justification, including things like why the author didn't use another plausibly useful approach and so on. But again, I don't think it's necessarily that it is an entirely different phenomenon than